Bienvenue à tous. Welcome to Reporters here on France 24. Latin American migrants have become the scapegoat of many of the complaints of the political right wing in the United States, mainly taking the lead of the US president, who is seeking nearly $6 billion of taxpayers' money to build that infamous border wall to keep out such people. But who are they precisely? And why are they seeking asylum in the land of the free, which is how they perceive the United States? Well, this edition of Reporters takes you to meet a woman who fled Honduras. Her life was threatened after she'd led a protest against the hydroelectric dam project, which already had drained the local river and killed all the fish. Hers is now a life of uncertainty, facing prejudice at every corner. She says she'd have stayed in her homeland if she could. In Honduras, 130 environmental activists have been murdered over the past decade. This report by Laurence Cuvillier, Fanny Allard, Mathieu Comin and Mathieu Mabin.
In this packed North Carolina church, the congregation sings in Spanish. Many are from Honduras, El Salvador, or Mexico, some of the most dangerous countries in the world. Some fled instability, others fled death threats. Like Nelly, who, along with many others here, is from Retoca, Honduras.
We're united by our friendships from back home and by the fight to protect our river. For all of us, this river is life.
Life is not a word Nelly uses lightly. She narrowly escaped death in her fight to save the Petacon River, parts of which are now just a stream. The drought in Central America and a hydroelectric dam project threaten to dry it up for good. The soil along its banks is no longer fit for crops. Andoni, born in Retoca, lives off of the corn and red beans that he grows.
The ears of corn are a different size now. Normally, they should be this big. But you can see they've become smaller.
Yields have been shrinking for the last 10 years. Planting crops is now seen as a risky investment. Without rain, Andoni may lose everything: the seeds, the fertilizer, and a year's work.
Sometimes we're discouraged, but we always have hope that next year will be better and that the weather will change.
In Retoca, arable land is disappearing.
All of this land is fallow. When you see abandoned fields like this, it isn't because the farmer doesn't work, it's because there's no rain.
Farmers and others who live in the area have joined forces to fight Progelsa, the company behind the hydroelectric dam project, whose construction began in 2015.
We have all the signatures.
Is it a petition? Yes, look.
At the town hall, the group tries to get the newly elected municipal government to act. But they face an uphill battle against the multinationals' interests.
I speak for everyone, not just for myself. This river belongs to all of us. And that's why we want you to speak up.
Retoca is on land belonging to the Lenca indigenous community. By rights, they should be consulted before use of local resources, but it has yet to happen.
If someone comes here with a project of this scope, then they won't be well received. Our river will resist an energy project like this.
The mayor can do little, as the dam concession was awarded by the president's office. So the people of Retoca have taken the fight to the river itself. Residents come to make sure construction hasn't begun without their knowledge. Around Retoca, the land is already in distress, from deforestation, water diversion, and pollution.
We quickly realized that the river was really suffering. The water levels are lower, and at least 3 kinds of fish that we used to eat have disappeared. There used to be so many. There was one we called the chacalin, shrimps, and plenty more.
They were all here on January 15th, 2018, when the army tried to evacuate them. Two people received bullet wounds. But the next day, Progelsa packed up its machines and left. Construction has been halted ever since. Despite the victory, residents are still worried. Nellie was there. A few weeks later, men broke into her home and put a gun to her head.
Abrí la puerta y lo que logré ver fueron unas personas.
When I opened the door, hooded men dressed in black forced their way in.
Abrigadas, todo de negro.
They threatened me. They said, "Get lost."
Así algo. Me llamaban por mi nombre.
And they called me by my name. They said, "You're going to die, Nelly."
Te queremos ver muerta, cosas así.
Which is why Nellie decided to flee the country.
I have this document too.
Yes, but it's not that important. It's just they know who you live with.
Nellie still has trouble speaking English. Her new friend Ariana has been helping her apply for asylum. Her son and daughter decided to stay in Retoca to keep up the fight.
My 2 children and I were inseparable. I'm scared for them. I begged them to stop. I don't know if I'm the one who instilled this love of nature in them. But I'm afraid something bad might happen.
Mi peor temor es que algún día me den una mala noticia de ella.
Threatened with death for defending a river. In Honduras, more than 130 environmental activists have been killed in the last 10 years. A grim figure that makes Honduras one of the most dangerous countries in the world for such activists. Meanwhile, the drought drags on. In 2018, an environmental state of emergency was declared in an area known as the Central American Dry Corridor.
Lo de megaproyectos es relativo.
You have to look at dam projects case by case.
Son pequeñas represas derivadoras.
Most of them are small structures that divert water from waterfalls, not rivers, so the water flow doesn't change.
Pero el caudal ecológico,
when a concession is awarded,
y cuando se otorga la
the
licencia,
priority is to maintain local water
para las
access.
comunidades.
But do local interests always prevail when it comes to concessions? To understand what's going on, we need to go back to June 2009, when a military coup d'etat overthrew the former socialist president, Manuel Zelaya.
I'm asking the international community for help. We want a new constitution. We want freedom for all Hondurans. We don't want military rule. We want our president to return.
Soon afterwards, the new pro-business cabinet awarded nearly 90 mining and dam concessions without local consultation. Moves opposed by NGOs.
Una piñata de concesiones solemos llamar nosotros.
We call them concession gifts.
Una repartición de contratos que han sido.
When the party in power owes favors to certain companies,
a personas,
it awards them contracts in an arbitrary fashion.
El partido que gobierna en el régimen le debe favores.
Honduran politics has always struggled with corruption. These new infrastructure projects would allow the country to produce 6,000 megawatts of hydroelectricity. But even at peak hours, consumption scarcely exceeds 2,000 megawatts.
Y lo que se le vende,
Hondurans are made to believe that we must sacrifice rivers and natural resources for our country's electricity needs.
Por la demanda de energía.
But this is not the case.
Eso no es así.
Multinationals are investing millions of dollars here, but residents are being forced to leave. Over the years, Retoca's streets have emptied. Nearly all of Andoni's childhood friends have left.
The man who lives here, all of his kids emigrated to the U.S. Young men here leave to go to other countries where there's a need for manual labor. While women, they go to Spain, where they often find work caring for the elderly.
Like Andoni, many farmers now work at a loss. His neighbor Bartolome is resigned to letting his children leave.
My 4 children went to university. The oldest 2 didn't find jobs here, so they had to leave. Here, studies mean nothing.
Aquí en Honduras no está valiendo.
This year, Andoni will have nothing to sell. He lives here with his mother, who is very sick. They'll scarcely have enough to eat.
These beans will last us the rest of the year. But we won't have enough corn because we eat more of it. Plus, prices have gone up. When there's a drought, speculators stockpile goods, then sell for a large profit.
Andoni's only hope is his brother, who has emigrated to the U.S. The money he sends home allows Andoni to pay for his mother's medicine.
My dream is to start a business here with my brother, to have some livestock and create jobs here in the village. We really need it here.
Andoni hasn't seen his brother in 8 years.
Of course I'd like to be in his place. He has a better life than me. When I compare what he earns in a day to what I earn in a day, it's a huge difference.
But life isn't always easy for those who live in Durham, North Carolina. Eugenio was a farmer in Retoca. He immigrated 5 years ago after his crops failed. He now works 10 hours a day, 6 days a week.
Primera lectura. Lectura de la primera carta del apóstol San Juan.
Me hace mucha fuerza para comenzar el día.
I have the energy to get up in the morning
Que Dios me está regalando
because I know that God is giving me a new day
saber que en este día puedo hacer
and that I'll
algo
be able to help my loved ones.
por mi familia, por mis amigos.
He earns $100 a day as a construction painter and works with other young people from Retoca. They find ways to support the fight to save their river from afar.
Nosotros lo hacemos económicamente.
We help them financially, and they help us morally through their dedication to protect our river. The river belonged to our fathers. It belongs to us, and it will belong to our children. We put all of our energy into this. We will not back down.
After all these years, he still hasn't gone back to see his family. He is undocumented, so leaving the country would mean risking never coming back.
Hace 8 meses perdí a mi mamá.
8 months ago, I lost my mother.
Lo que decía anteriormente,
she died.
Eso es lo que más duele.
That's what hurts coming to a new country. We do know that it's better for us financially, but not being able to see my mother, who I loved more than anything else, well, you just can't put a price on that.
2 months after his mother's death, his sister had a cancer operation. His father is also hospitalized. Eugenio has doubled down on work to pay the costs. He sends money back to Honduras every 2 weeks.
Necesito hacer un envío por MoneyGram.
I would like to make a transfer with MoneyGram. It's for Honduras. $300.
As for himself, Eugenio lives on the bare minimum.
Quisiera regresar.
I dream about going back to Honduras as soon as I can. But I can't allow myself to think about it. Our families are still in need.
But no amount of money can solve Retoca's most pressing problem: drought. Every day, Myra fetches water from makeshift wells.
Yesterday I came here with the bucket, but left with nothing. There was no more water. My husband came back at 4 a.m. before dawn to fetch some. It's worrying. Normally during this season there are streams here. Water used to flow through here, but this year nothing. Sometimes there are shortages in February or March, but never in December.
Myra has considered moving closer to the river. But since the dam construction, the water is no longer drinkable. Several cows have died after drinking it. So every day, she filters whatever water she is able to find.
We closely monitor our water consumption. We can't waste a single drop. We have to pay very close attention.
Myra has no family in the U.S. Her sister-in-law Wilma and her husband tried to emigrate 3 years ago. An agency promised them Canadian visas, plane tickets, and jobs. They took on debts to apply, but heard nothing in response. Scammed out of 2,500 euros, money they may never get back.
If only you knew how many people have been scammed like us. We realized that a large group of people had been sold the same journey for nothing. We've been waiting for 3 years.
Wilma's husband moved to the capital for work to pay off the debt. But he only earns $5 a day.
I want to leave this country so badly, so I can offer my children a better life. But when I think about all the money we owe, it keeps me up at night. I pray that my husband finds a good job so we can pay off our debt.
Financial struggles, drought, and a river running dry. Andoni and his friends have set up a lookout in the mountains in the hopes of blocking any bulldozer or military convoy from approaching the river.
Of course we could emigrate, but we love our country so much. We want to fight for it here. We would give our lives for this river.
It's not just about water, because there are a lot of mining projects as well. All of the profits leave the country, thanks to the government's concessions. That's why we're all still poor. But if we joined forces and became conscious of all of this, it would be fixed, and we wouldn't need to immigrate.
Thousands of kilometers away, a taste of retoca in the U.S.
We're grilling meat, and we're making rice and beans. Chismol is a Honduran speciality. It's a taste of home.
Nearly all of them are undocumented. A run-in with police could ruin all of their efforts over the years. So only close friends are invited to these gatherings. They all grew up along the river.
We're not in Retoca anymore, but Retoca's in us. We'll go back one day. We want to find our river the way we left it. This river is life. It's our core. It provides for thousands of families. It's a life source that we've all bathed and played in. Our country has bountiful resources: trees, water, mountains. They've all been destroyed over the last few years. The red line has been crossed. We've had enough.
Honduras is one of the poorest and most violent countries in the Americas. But it depends on the unconditional support of those who grew up there.
I want to say to all those who have children here that I hope they raise them with the love of our traditions, our culture, and our villages.
Some 300 Hondurans leave the country every day, clinging to the hope that one day they'll return.
And our thanks to our teams in the US and in Latin America for that report. You can see it again via our website, www.france24.com. This is Reporters Plus. Thank you for watching, and do stay with us here on France 24.